to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today begins a new feature. What would Lou do? You might remember me talking about the possibility of this last fall. And it's been on the schedule, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been moving it around, and I've been kicking it to the curb, and I've been planning it. And today it became a thing. What would Lou do? And you know why that is? It's because I have received so many emails and private messages over the last week asking me what to do about your business in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. Some have been long, heartfelt emails. Some have been short, quick messages, just like, what do I do? Do you have any advice? And so it was time to move this to front burner. So we are going to be answering questions over the coming weeks. And today we're going to start with, what would Lou do in light of the coronavirus? Okay. The thing is, in my nearly 40 years in business, I've been through many downturns in business. And together with my husband, Vince, and our partner, Bill, we've learned some lessons. Some we've learned the hard way, which are the ones that stick with you the most, right? So we opened our business during the recession of 1980 to 82, which in my opinion is one of the best times to open a business. So if you are one of my #baby designers and you have been thinking, oh no, this can't be happening, I was getting ready to open this summer or this coming fall, don't throw your plans out just yet. Be smart, be strategic, and be patient, because as unfortunate as it is, as other entrepreneurs make poor decisions in this crisis, you could be the one who benefits from it. So, for example, in a few months, you may get deals on a studio space as the landlords lose their tenants, and it will be time for you to bargain. Ask for lower rent for 6 months or the first year, leveraging the fact that a landlord would rather have you in at a few or several $100s less than normal rate than have no money at all in the coming year. Then we weathered the 1990 to 91 recession. This was the one that almost did WindowWorks in. I mean, I'm talking legit life support measures. Scary. Did I say scary? Times, yes. We had 2 locations, and we had about 7 employees, and our eyes were literally at the water level, okay? I was literally crying in my car between sales appointments because the stress was so completely and totally overwhelming. And I would sit in the car, driving in between the appointments, crying, then sit in the car when I arrived at my destination a half a block or so away, and gather my thoughts and gather my courage and clean the mascara from under my eyes. And I would walk up to the door. And the crazy thing is that I would stand there and I would say, I really hope they don't answer the door. I really don't hope they don't answer the door. I don't want to do this appointment today. But at the same time, I knew I needed to get in there. I needed to make a sale, and I needed the deposit from that sale because I knew we had to make payroll. So it was a crazy time. And the thing is, we did some things really horribly wrong leading into that recession. And of course, with hindsight and many years of experience later, we can identify some of those, which I will talk with you about in a few moments, okay? Then 9/11 hit in 2001. And this was surreal, much like this coronavirus is today. It was like, do we work? Do we not work? Does anyone really need drapes or awnings now? Is it crazy that you ask somebody, oh, by the way, did you want to place that order I gave you a quote on last week? The protocols, the uncertainty is a lot like what we're dealing with today. So I get it, is what I'm trying to tell you. And then finally, we were there for the biggie in 2008, called The Great Recession by the people who write the history books. And I have to say, this one we sailed through at WindowWorks specifically because of everything we learned from the previous experiences. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of those things today. We're going to break it down, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, I want to tell you, before I sat down to write this episode, I made a bullet point list of all the things that I know that we can do as business owners to lead our companies through this crisis. And the thing is, I had no less than 10 topics on what we could do, and that is clearly too much for one show. So I'll address a few of them today. I think will be the ones that we're starting with most at the top of the list at WindowWorks as well. And then over the coming weeks, I'll continue to talk to you about some of the things that you can do to not only weather this crisis from a business standpoint, but continue to maintain your footing, leverage the things that are happening, look for ways to be future orientated, and look for ways to just really come through it. Okay? So here are the first two things, in my opinion, that are non-negotiable when you are facing a crisis like this. And the first one is don't overreact. And the second one is don't not act. Okay? So don't overreact. This means don't contribute to the hysteria, the dramatic, and the doomsday conversations. Don't be part of the misinformation. Take the high road. Be the voice of reason. If you don't know something to be true, something as a fact, don't just talk to talk. It's the telephone line game, right? You hear something, you repeat it, you miss some key information, the next person repeats it, and finally the truth is so far back along the line that the current conversation is a twisted, warped out version of its former self. It's so non-productive. More than that, some people will follow and they will make decisions based on the information, which can lead to a rash of cancellations, disrupted business, everything under the sun. Please, please resist the negativity, the misinformation, and the hysteria. All right? Serve yourself, really, please. Now, don't not act. This is huge. This is the very essence of how to survive a downturn in business. Our number one mistake during the 1990 recession was that we didn't want to believe that it was happening. And we waited too long to act, way too long to act, okay? Now, with the benefit of our hard-earned hindsight, let me share with you the things that we are doing at WindowWorks right now in the face of this crisis. First, last week, the minute we heard all of the big changes happened all at once. It seemed like in the same day, High Point Market was canceled. The IWCE was canceled. All the major sports seasons were canceled. Flights out of Europe were canceled. I mean, this all happened within, I would say, a 24 to 36 hour window of time. And we went from, I wonder if this is a big deal to, oh my goodness, like, whoa. Okay, so the Vincenz and I, we sat down and we said, okay, what are we going to do? You see, because, but like I said, back in the 90s, we would have had all of that happen in that day, and we'd have been like, oh, that's scary. Okay, well, go back to business as usual. And it took us many, many, many weeks and months to really make hard decisions and hard choices. And now, like I said, it's just through the benefit of experience that, one day like that, and we're like at the drawing board. What are we doing? Okay, so here are some of the components of our first level action plan that we put together last week, okay? And I have to tell you, if this was not in the face of a natural disaster like this, like of an unusual catastrophe like this, if this were simply an economic recession caused by financial things, I would say that some of these things that I'm going to share with you now would be very sufficient for at least a few weeks, if not several, in order to glide in and manage this crisis. However, let's be serious. I've never been through the coronavirus before. In our lifetime, we've not experienced anything like this. So while I'm explaining to you what we decided to do last week, by the time this goes to air, some of it might be moot. I mean, who knows what the situation will be in. However, given the nature of podcasting and having to put things together and taking a few days to get them out into the world, I'm still going to share with you the things that we did decide to do, and that is our first level response as a mature, seasoned business who has been through tough economic times on multiple occasions, what we have come up with, okay? So the first line measure is cash flow is king. It is everything in your business, and everything in your business will ultimately depend on your cash flow, okay? And in order to honor that cash flow is king, you need to focus on sales, all right? Focus on closing anything that you have on deck, anything you possibly have in a pipeline, all right? Be creative, be sensitive, be courageous. All right. We learned way too late that ignoring what was happening and, back in the 90s and feeling bad about what was happening was happening to people ended up being huge in our not handling that crisis, okay? And I don't want to sound crass, okay? But not everyone will be financially affected by this. That's just a simple fact. Some people are so financially solvent that they can and will be okay, and they will look for ways to make deals and take advantage of the ways that their money will go further in tough times like this. So the idea is this is different. I'm not going to kid you. With it being a health scare and a pandemic, there is no game plan on this, right? I'm not, I'm older than dirt, but I have not been through the plague, okay? So there is a nuance of sensitivity here, okay, that is not lost on me when I explain this to you. But I also do know we're going to get through it. And so what I'm just trying to share in this tiny little section of this message is that in the same time that you are there as a human being with a heart that has compassion, that this is a health scare, and that people are truly might be in the middle of fighting for their life or their loved one's life. There are a lot of us that are not in that situation, and there are a lot of people that it's not going to really financially reach them. And for you to not have this tiny bit of eyes wide open on that and to make your services available to someone who does want to do their home renovation or does want to redecorate their home. Okay, look, you guys make homes, environments more beautiful. And the reality is that it is times like this that people do look to their home and do look for comfort. And so maybe that's something to hang on to, that you are the person that could make an environment for someone more beautiful, more welcoming, and more interesting and more desirable to be in. So it is hard, because if it's a straight up financial crisis made by banks and institutions, then we can just plow through and fight tooth and nail for the business that we want to earn. So I don't want you to think I'm insensitive, but this is your livelihood, right? I mean, this is how you support your family, right? So there has to be some measure of practicality here, and that's all I'm saying. So focus on sales. Focus on whatever you can do that feels authentic and feels right to you in order to both serve your potential client and serve your income, your family, protect yourself, okay? All right. The other thing is that you need to monitor your cash flow because you need to keep your vendors paid, right? You have to get your products shipped. You've got to get your trades to show up. You need to deliver on these products and services so that you can collect your monies from your clients, right? Now, I know many of you are pro forma or prepay, right? But now is the time to ask for net 30 days or even longer, net 35 days. This will help you bridge your cash flow. Don't be afraid to ask, okay? There is no harm in asking. Many companies will say yes, and this could be all the difference in keeping your cash flow positive. All right, I was on Instagram the other day, and I was explaining how at WindowWorks, we are at like net 30 with anybody and anybody we want to be net 30 with, but we actually have set up a prepay with many of our vendors in exchange for additional percentage off on the purchase price, okay? So we're not on prepay because, oh, you don't have any credit, or we're not on prepay because we just mindlessly on prepay. We've actually made phone calls. The VinMan has made phone calls and said, hey, if I pay you the day I place an order, and of course we have a huge volume at WindowWorks. I understand it makes it a little different. You have a little buying power, right? But in exchange for that, give us another 2% off on the net price or 1% off. But see, you know what we did this week? We literally looked at everybody and went, oh, are we net 30 here technically? Are we net 30 here technically? And we made phone calls to say, you think we could extend to net 45? Not sure if we'll need it, but can we make an agreement that if we need net 45, we'll have it? You see, because if this thing gets crazy pants, if everything closes down, we're going to need to string out that and be strategic like a chess game on where the money goes so that we can keep the products and the services flowing. All right. So I want you to think about if that's something that you could employ and put in place for your business as well. All right. The next thing you've got to do is review all money owed to you right now in real time and collect any outstanding balances. Do it now before this is a crisis. Do it now before people are out of work for weeks and months. I don't know if that'll happen, and God willing, it won't happen. But if somebody's got a balance due, you need to kindly call up and collect on your money, okay? Particularly from commercial companies, all right? They're like business as usual so far, all right? I mean, we're in real time here. We're in real time. We're not even in quarantine yet. We're in real time. So make sure that they've got your POs and your invoices all in their process thing, and do not be lackadaisical about this. Okay. It is easier to approach the businesses and the commercial accounts because it's a straight up business transaction rather than a client who has already become your friend. I know that happens. I know that you have projects that go on months and months and people become your friends. But either way, you need to tactfully and with respect, you need to collect your money. If you've done the work already, it's your money. This is your family. Okay. And if you're not sure if you can or you should, imagine a month from now, you have no new work. But a month ago, when you heard this, you might have been able to collect a $10,000 balance due or a $15,000 balance due. Would that make all the difference in the world to you and your family a month from now? Right? So it's yours. This is not unkind. This is not, being whatever. You did the work, go get the money, okay? All right, next thing I want you to do is go through all of your expenses with a fine-tooth comb. I would do it both for your business and your personal life. Be critical, be cutthroat, all right? This is the time where I'm telling you, honest to God, I have sometimes had a conversation, a coaching call with a designer and on the skids and very, very, very tentative and worried about what's going to happen even in a week from now, and have said, just call your phone company, call your cell phone carrier, find out what service you're on. You probably, when we sign up for cell phones and we get this great, package deal, but then 4 years later, we're still in that deal and we've never called. We've done that at WindowWorks. I know a particular designer of mine that I had counseled one time. And between the 2 or 3 suggestions I made on just checking things that were contracts that were long ago signed, saved $750 a month. Okay, so you know how it is. You call Verizon or you call whatever and you're like, I want a different plan. And all of a sudden it's $300 less. Okay, so this is the time to go through all of that. If you are paying for Audible and you never listen to it anymore, if you are going to some health club and you haven't been there in 6 months, get Cutthroat. Clean the dead weight. This is the time. Okay, first line of defense is all dead weight that you don't need to be doing. I'm not saying right now if it's something you truly need, love, enjoy, it matters to you and your family. We're not at the skid row yet. We're not there. But we all have this level of expenses that are just on auto pay that we don't even pay attention to. So I'm telling you, we did not do this in 1990. I'm telling you, do it now, okay? As an example for WindowWorks, there is a gas station literally 50 yards from us. And then there's another station is about 2 miles away. And my husband came in to WindowWorks on Thursday of a week ago, and he said the gas station 2 miles away is 16 cents per gallon less than the one next door. So we've got 10 vehicles that we buy gas for at WindowWorks. And guess where all 10 of those vehicles are going to buy their gas for the coming weeks, okay? Because it's things like this. And when he looked at our expenses, the top 5 expenses on WindowWorks right now, gasoline expense was 5. Think about it's a business that grows $3 million, and our top 5 expenses, the 5th one, is gasoline. Now take that top 5 expense and times it by 16 cents per gallon. Okay? So on one hand, it sounds so tiny. But on the other hand, that could be in a month's time with 10 vehicles or 2 months' time, the difference in one person's salary on our team for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay? And I have to say, if you've ever had to look at a valued employee and tell them that you need to lay them off because you can't make payroll, you would change where you buy gas too. I promise you. I've been there. I've done it. It's so hard. It's hard enough to let an employee go that's not performing, let alone let a valued employee go just because of an economic downturn and you can't make payroll. Okay? So be cutthroat. Do it at home. Go through it line by line. I remember in 1993, after we were like the 3rd year into the recession, my husband and I are looking at the time, I think the Star Ledger was 15 cents a day for the weekday. And we literally are looking at our expenses going, are we going to cut the Star Ledger at 15 cents a day? But that was because we waited too long to act. Okay? So I want you to act now. All right? The other thing we're doing at WindowWorks is that we've told our showroom administrator, no unnecessary purchases. No buying, 16 rolls of packing tape and 40 packages of staples and, 9,000 of this and 2,000 of that. Nothing. If you don't need it, if you can go without it, go without it. And if you do need it, let me know. I'll pick up a single item at CVS for you. Okay. There's no bulk orders right now. Okay. Because it's, you have to have the conversation with your employees because we're not scaring anybody yet. See, at WindowWorks, they're not afraid when we come in and do this. They know we're being proactive. They respect it. They are encouraged by it. And they're just saying, okay, all right, they got a handle on this. They've got a plan. This is good. We're not running around Chicken Little, the sky is falling. We're saying we're about 1.5 minutes into this crisis, and here are the steps that we're taking. Let's take them together, and let's all be on the same page. So, but if you hide it from your employees or you don't have an open conversation about it, then maybe they don't have the same expectations. They don't have the same understandings, and they might order 22 rolls of packing tape. I'm just saying, right? Okay, the other thing that we are considering doing is owners' pay cuts. All right. So as I record this, we have talked about it, the three of us, and it is our next line of defense. So we're going to see how this week and next week goes. Of course, a lot will change. I mean, by the time you actually hear this, the whole world could be upside down again. But we just know that that's our next line of defense, all right? So when I talked about the top 5 expenses on our business, payroll is our number 1 expense at WindowWorks. So as the 3 owners, we will lead this. We will take a 10% pay cut for the 3 of us so that we can reduce this line item. And then as the weeks go by, if we need to reduce that further, we will. And let me just be clear about something. We will track and record every dollar that the 3 of us didn't take, and this will be a loan to our company. This is not a gift to our company. No, 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 no. So when times are back, because they will be, we will pay ourselves back. And we'll probably pay ourselves back little by little over the weeks, just as we took them away little by little over the coming weeks, okay? And you know why? Because this is our business. This is not our hobby. We love it and we're proud of it, but it does support us. It does provide for us, right? This is why we do it, okay? So the other thing about us taking pay cuts pretty quickly in the beginning, if it's necessary, is because this will hopefully help us to avoid having to ask our employees to take a pay cut, right? But if this insanity goes on far, if at least they will know that if we've done it for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, holy cow, if we have to come to them and ask them if they will do it, at least they will know that we went as far as we could before coming to them. All right, because that will be another step that will eventually come, is that we might look at them, and the same thing, we will track it, record it, and it will get paid back to them. But, it's sort of like, all for one and one for all, right? Instead of sacrificing one person, we all sacrifice a little bit, and hopefully we weather it together, and we all come through it together, and then eventually we all will get paid back together, okay? All right. Now, there's one thing that is new in this environment that was not a possibility for us in any of our last downturns, was working remotely. Okay. Of course, we may be all forced to work remotely, but for the most part, we can't install, right? So we can't install our window treatments on our awnings, all right? But we can nurture our sales process remotely. We can do a lot of work on the phone and with pictures and email and things like that. And we can move the ball along a little bit. It's funny because I'll tell you a little bit in a few minutes about an exciting Windows meeting we had, but Susan Day, she literally pointed out that we all follow a 7-step sales process for custom window treatments and awnings, and she pointed out that like the first 6 steps really could happen remotely. And so the rest of us were like, oh yeah, that's right. So there are things that we can do, all right? And as long as we're not under full quarantine, we've had customers all day in the last couple of days, canceling one after another, canceling sales appointments and canceling installations. And so what we did at the beginning of the week was we consolidated the remaining installation appointments to a couple of days, and then we put all of our installers into the schedule for 2 days to clean out the basement and the garage, our staging area. This is something that it's like cleaning your closet, like cleaning your medicine cabinet, cleaning your pantry. It's like when it's done, you feel so good, but you're so busy every day and you don't get to it. So we immediately were like, instead of it being, we've got, 4 sets of eyeballs of installers looking at us all this coming week with nothing to do, we just moved everything into a compacted 1 or 2 days, and we put them all in the schedule to do this, because this isn't a revenue generating task, But it is one of those tasks that needs to be done. And when we're super, super busy, it gets kicked to the corner. It doesn't get done. And when it's done, everybody feels so great, right? You know that feeling when you clean out your clothes closet and you donate all those clothes that you haven't been wearing and you walk in and everything's organized and it looks great and you feel like $1,000,000. And so that's what we're going to do the end of this week. We've got all 4 installers. They're scheduled in the schedule for 2 or 3 days, whatever it is. And everyone will feel productive no matter what is actually happening in the week, right? And the other thing is that at WindowWorks, we switched from Hunter Douglas's, the CRM, the Hunter Douglas link, to Market Sharp in January 2020. And, if you've ever switched CRMs, you know what a bear it is. Even the companies who do the migration of all your data for you, there's still data that doesn't get moved over, and you've got orders that never made it to the other CRM, and there's review of the data. And so since January, that's been another bear of a project. We probably have 200 or 300 orders from 2019 that have not made it to the new CRM. And so what happens is we have a commitment. Our office admin has a commitment of every week in real time. She has to make sure that every current client gets into the new CRM, and to always try and add anywhere from 2 to 5 to 10 of the backlog each week. But we're all looking at the big pile of invoices under her desk, and it's like one of those things. But you know what? She's going to tackle that this week. She's actually going, especially if we are put on home quarantine, then she's going to take this big box home and she's going to do it from home. And from home, without any distraction, she'll probably do it in 5 hours. And then it will be done. Okay? So what do you have that's been sitting around that you haven't gotten to? All right. And what I'm saying is I want you to think first of revenue generating activities. That's number one. Okay. Like I said, focus on sales. So truly, that's your number one goal. You want to focus on sales and you want to focus on cutting expenses. But when those things are addressed, then start to go back and think of what are the activities that you haven't gotten to. Do you need to put your processes in place? Do you need to write your operations manual? Have you been saying I'm going to do a new welcome packet and you're just too busy to do it? Have you been saying I'm going to write some blog posts? Well, you could sit around and write your blog posts for fall back to school season, the Christmas decorating season, the Thanksgiving decorating season, July 4th summer party entertaining. I mean, you could get all of those kicked out now, okay? And then just put them and store them, schedule them to Hootsuite or put them in your computer and save them till it's time to do it. So my point is that this is not a time to sit around and watch Netflix, okay? This is not that time. I do not want you wallowing. I don't want you to... Here's what it is. I understand it's scary. I understand that it's so uncertain what we're going through, but the answer isn't to give up. The answer isn't to just curl under the cozy blanket and watch, 90,000 episodes of the Gilmore Girls or West Wing or whatever else there is to watch, right? So that there's things that you can do, okay, that you can be productive with. And especially, here's the thing, if you don't have children that are home, it's probably going to be especially easy to sort of just say, I don't have to do anything. And at the same time, what's funny is having children at home, on one hand, I think would make it easier to get up and do something every day. But on the other hand, just imagining homeschooling children that might be all different ages and all different levels of their education, it's got to be just unimaginable right now. in the midst of trying to run your business, but get it organized. Get up. Do not alter your routine. If you all got up at 6:30 in the morning, get up at 6:30 in the morning. Do exactly. It will serve your children if you keep the routine and you set them up all at the dining room table, all doing their work. You're at your desk, you're doing your work, and just have a routine and get it done, okay? And that's another thing too, is if you usually work in an outside studio space and now you might be at home with your kids, set a place up that feels like I can sit down and be productive at it. And for me, I rather have a place that I don't have to I don't want to work at the kitchen table, for example. And then it's like, oh, somebody wants to eat, so let me take all my stuff away. And then I have to make dinner, let me take all my stuff away, and I have to put all my stuff back. So do what you got to do, because it could be a couple of weeks, it could be a month. Who knows what this is going to be like? But my biggest message to you is take it seriously from day one. Just actually own it, be responsible for it, and do not put your head in the sand, okay? That's it. All right, now, the other thing I want you to do at this stage is find your mentors, your peers. I want you to set up phone calls. I want you to set up Zoom meetings. I want you to do something to brainstorm ideas on how to be productive, how to keep your pipeline going, how to maintain your clients, all right, and how to prepare for a possible downturn, all right? And to prepare for when this bad nightmare is over and it's all behind us and down the road, okay? So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a member of Exciting Windows, and I cannot say enough about my colleagues there. Our leaders of Exciting Windows are Steve Burston and Steve Wishnow, and they literally called an emergency virtual meeting for 2 days after the IWCE canceled their conference, and we had to cancel our Exciting Windows conference too. So I think all of that happened Thursday. By Saturday, we had a virtual meeting planned, all right? And the point of this was that 8 or 10 or 12 of us gathered on this call, and Steve Burston opened it up by saying, okay, this is where we're at. This is unusual. None of us have been through this before. However, we've got a lot of experience on this call, and I want us to each just go around, everybody take a turn, and tell us something that you think is important to do in this business climate in order to keep our businesses up and running. Do you know how amazing that is? To be on a call with men and women who are in the same businesses as we are, who have been in business anywhere from 5 years to more than 50 years, okay? The ideas were flowing. The tactical tips were appreciated by all of us, all right? And I want to say to you, I'm going to share the tip that resonated most with me, all right? So this tip is resonating with me because I'm basing it and filtering it through the experience that we have personally had with our economic downturns over the years in WindowWorks, okay? So Steve Wishnow shared this tip. His background includes many years as a marketing executive. He has weathered 7 recessions, and he has been responsible for multi-million-dollar budgets, okay? So when Steve talks, I listen, okay? So here's what he said. Get smart and get market share. Get smart and get market share. He urged us to allocate money to marketing during this period and not to make the mistake of curbing this expense at this point, all right? Now, I don't want you to go in debt or anything. You got to use your common sense. But the idea is now is the time to let people know you are here, that you will be here, and that you can be relied on. All right. So I'm going to tell you, when somebody with this amount of business experience really cautioned us to not shy away from our marketing budgets at this point in time, that's a significant tip. That's all I can tell you. All right. And so what I want for you to do is, maybe you met someone at LuAnn Live. Maybe you met someone at High Point Market. Maybe you met someone, maybe you were in the Process Leads to Profits class that we just had with Sarah Brennan, or in the Profits with Window Treatments class with Vita. Okay. Maybe you met somebody. Maybe you've been in a past mastermind with me and you remember you kind of hit it off with somebody. If you need to reach out to somebody now and say, hey, remember me? Do you remember me? And we kind of did this together. We met here together. Would you like to maybe, do you know one or two people? I can invite one or two people. Do we want to get on a call, like say every other Tuesday from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning and just talk? Okay? Because if you talk and you surround yourself with people who are looking to be successful, who are looking for solutions, who are looking for a way through this, having that support network is going to be a huge difference in the outcome. So interior design can be isolating as it is, right? So many of you work alone. And so many of you don't have teams that you work with. But if we go into quarantine, even if you have a team, you're going to be working alone. And the thing that I want you to know is it's very hard to have self-pity. It's very hard to be pessimistic. It's very hard to believe that nothing can be done when you're looking forward to and consistently sharing ideas with other people. And even if you come to it one morning not feeling so happy-go-lucky, right? Somebody else is bound to be feeling good that day. And that might be all you need to get yourself back on track again. All right? Because that's really the biggest thing. If you are the owner of your company, you are the leader of your company. And I don't really care if you're the leader of just you. You are in charge of your destiny. You are in charge of your business. You are in charge of your livelihood. And you can do it. But it's not easy to do it alone. That is the whole point of the podcast and the community that we're building together here, is that we are not alone. But sometimes you have to reach out and say, hand up. You know, do you want to be with me? And do you want to do this with me? So I would look to increase your business network right now. And if you want to do it by joining masterminds or by joining courses or any of that stuff, yay. But if not, then just ask somebody if they want to have a phone call or a Zoom meeting with you every 2 weeks or something like that, just to keep each other sane. Let's be real. Okay. All right. And I also want to give a shout out to Carla Aston before I sign off today. Today, in one of the Facebook groups, I'm not sure which one, it might have been Claire's group, Interior Design Business Strategies, but I wouldn't swear to it. But Carla posted that she had written a blog post, 10 tips for building success as a designer when your business is slow. And Carla was originally on the podcast, episode 242. She is a hashtag seasoned designer with tons of experience. And I just thought that this blog post that she wrote might be helpful for you right now. So we will put a link to this blog post in the show notes. All right. But I'm sure you could also find it on Carla's website at carlaaston.com. But I know Carla personally. She's a very smart lady. And she has been in business many years, and just as a little pick-me-up, right? Like some really actionable tips where you might look ahead and think of ways to build your pipeline. All right. So I'm going to close here for now. The point is, don't not act. All right. Don't not act. You must do something. I want you to do these few things first and foremost, okay? Focus on sales. Get cutthroat with your expenses. Reach out for peers and mentors. And, find a way to stay positive through this, but to act through it, okay? I'm going to come back. I told you I had a list of 10 things. I think I gave you 3. So there'll be more. I will be sharing more over the next couple of weeks. And until then, keep your head in the game. Do not give in to fear. Work through it. Ask for help. Visualize one day when you will reflect on the things that you did, the things that made the difference in the difference between success and failure. All right? I want you to do the things that will make the difference in success and failure. I want you to earn your entrepreneurial chops. right? Because then one day you're going to look back and say, whoa, okay, that was really good what I did. I was slow to act. But you'll have that feeling. And that's what I'm telling you. You're going to come through this as long as you take action. Okay? You got this. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.